Hello everybody and welcome to the very first FDL Formula Open here from Miami. One of the newest circuits added into iRacing is playing host to our first ever event in FDL's history with the Super Formula cars instead of the Super Formula Lights, or indeed the FF1600, which we enjoyed towards the end of 2025. 50 minutes of a feature race coming up in a moment as this qualifying session draws to a close. Myself, Ian O'Leary, and George Cook will take you through the action here tonight from this first ever event in these cars. Good to be back after the new year, George. Good to be alongside you. Super Formula racing around here. I mean, not much that we can read into about Miami because we have barely ever seen racing around here on iRacing, considering it's only been here for a week or two. But we have seen Super Formula racing before, and not too dissimilar to the speed of a Formula 1 car. So we can maybe expect to see what we're going to see because of real live. But this is going to be 50 minutes of pretty high octane stuff. I'm looking forward to a first FDL Formula Open here tonight.
Yeah, the special event's going to be excellent. Thank you for the intro, and Happy New Year to everyone out there who is watching today on TrackSpotTV. 19 corners, it is very intense. That long back straight, Ewan, turn 16 all the way to turn 17, going to be key for overtaking, and how you get through that final corner is really going to determine what happens into turn one. Another great overtaking part of this track, 5.3 kilometers. The temperature's good out there today, and of course, watch out for that under bridge area. Through turns 13, 14 and 15, the cars get airborne, not all wheels off the ground, but if there's a crash at that point, it's going to be chaos. Looking forward to this one very, very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we should note that this is not part of the normal FDL season, which indeed starts next week. We'll be live every week until early March at the same time. With the well, I'll say the same time. The clock's going to change again, aren't they, in March? But anyway, we'll deal with that later. It will be live anyway for the next 8 weeks with a new Super Formula Lights Championship, and it will start from Spa next week. We will be returning here to Miami the week after that. You see the schedule on the right hand side of your screen. Navarra will be round 3 before Mosport brings you to the halfway mark. Monza just afterwards. Adelaide returning again, although for the first time in Super Formula Lights, that is. Then the Nürburgring, presuming Grand Prix circuit, and Interlagos, where any good championship should end, in my opinion. It is doing so here for this series as well. Let's say this race is not part of that. It is just a one-off special event. We're actually going to have a sort of qualifying race beforehand as well as this open qualifying session, but that's been canned, and we've just got the one feature race of 50 minutes. Not possible to do this race on no stops at all. Required fuel should be 72 litres with a starting tank of 40 litres with the fixed setups. So should be interesting. Expecting pit stops for anywhere from lap 1 to 17 to 18. Feels like the sort of retro FDL races, to be honest, where we always used to have one stop in all of the races back when all the races were the same distance and so on in the Super Formula Lights. That's not quite the case anymore in Super Formula Lights, but it does very much feel like that everybody's guaranteed to have one pit stop pretty much no matter what happens, even if there is a virtual safety car, which is what there's going to be with no real safety car here tonight.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, I think it's really, really good for the overall racing to have that mandatory pit stop in there. We'll see what the drivers do. Taking that early pit stop might be really good for getting out of the fray, avoiding getting yourself into those battles, especially given the slipstream is so strong here today.
Yep, certainly is. Let's have a look at the starting grid then, ready for the first ever FDL Formula Open. It's Sebastian Eskandari who's continuing his brilliant run in all competitions with a pole position in front of Stephen Bull alongside Kieran Potter, and then Tom Donahue, who's driven rather well to get up to 4th in qualifying here so far. Hayden Millington and Daniel Harris then on row 3, had Jordan Mazzaroli and Mark Healy. Jackson Riada is the first driver over a second off pole, with Paul Saragi rounding out the top 10. Brody McConkey is next ahead of Kane Ryder, with Ken Munro and Angus Milne on row 7. Anthony Bate and Daniel Yeman are on row 8 ahead of Trent Allen and Seth Burkhardt. Mitchell Albert and Ryan Borg round out the top 20. Thomas Hinds is next ahead of Miguel Costa Texera, with Leif Hardy and Jake Robillard on row 12. James Casper and Dylan Liddell row behind them. Marcus Gitzer, Jack Tovey and Markin Lipsky, the last drivers to set times. Luckin Capel didn't, and neither did Scott Bartine or Joshua Horton. We will see whether they get out onto the grid or not, because they didn't even exit the pit lane throughout the 20-minute qualifying session, so we will soon find out on that front. But a couple of new names to reckon with here, George. Maybe a preview to the new season.
Yeah, exactly, and we hope that we've got a few new drivers coming in for that SFL season as well, and a few names, a few privateers, and there are a few names that I'm not familiar with. Paul Saragi, that's a great qualifying result for him. He's put it up there in the top 10, so excellent work. We've got Kieran Potter as well, so some new names that are really going to hopefully shake up the grid. Can anyone challenge Sebastian Eskandari, though? That is the real question. He's been champion now for a number of seasons in a row amongst different cars and different formats. Can he do it again on this one-off race? I know that he was holding back a little bit on some things earlier on. We are about to go live.
Yeah, there we go. Ken Munro actually hasn't got onto the grid, and you see that gap there just midway down. But here we go. The first ever FDL Super Formula Open is underway, and it's a good start there from third from Kieran Potter, who goes for it in towards turn 1, breaks deep, and I think he's got the lead. He has. Eskandari is still side by side with Stephen Bull, who goes a bit over the curbs and so on. He drops back just a little bit downside the top 5, but what a start from Kieran Potter, who launched off the grid from third position and straight in the lead down towards turn number 1.
Oh, that's wicked stuff. Kieran Potter's got the jump on our championship, incumbent champion. And so Sebastian Eskandari will now need to be thinking a lot about how he can use this slipstream to his advantage. And this is the problem for Potter now. What's he going to do when it comes to that long back straight through turn 16? They've got to navigate through turn 13, though. That's coming up in a few moments' time. Some big accidents on the grid as well behind. You can see this top 4 starting to break away in the background. Jackson Rahana going at it with Brody McConkey.
Yeah, they're all side by side back there from 5th place on backwards, as the top 4 have rather broken away. This is that sort of slower section now as they come through over the top of the, well, I'll say hill, it's more of a crest really, and bouncing over the curbs. There they go, diving down the inside before the very tight turn 16, but they all get away with it very well. Eskandari is very close in behind Kieran Potter at the moment, who's feeling the need to defend, and he's right to, because Eskandari's alongside him, down in towards the final hairpin of this racetrack, turn 17, down the inside for Potter. Oh, the turning circle not so great there, and he only just gives enough room. Eskandari's still there, but he cuts off. Potter just cuts him off there on the way down in towards turn number 1 again. He might well feel the need to defend again. Here comes Eskandari, breaking late down the inside, and he regains the lead only a lap after he lost it from the pole position.
This is exactly what I was talking about. You use that ability to get through turn 17, line yourself up well. Kieran Potter had to give him space through that corner, and he did so. Sebastian Eskandari so good on that acceleration. He's able to feel what the car is doing in these uncertain grip conditions at a track that is literally brand new on this circuit.
Absolutely new, and we've already got some drivers falling afoul of maybe the circuit, maybe some car-to-car contact. We'll find out with these replays. Oh dear, down into turn 1, that's too late on the brakes. 3-4 cars going for a spin, and there's bodywork going across the circuit as well. We've got Jake Robillard on this lap with a meatball. So has Scott Bartine, who by the way started right at the back. This is the bodywork going across the circuit. That's wide, so it's just behind the leaders in the end. 59 is Mark Healy. who hasn't had the best look since winning the Super Formula Lights Championship, as he did a season or so ago. He hasn't had the best look since, I'm afraid. There's Robelot, not showing any obvious signs of damage, actually, but he is clearly damaged somewhere, because, oh, actually, that is a bit more clear, actually, as he got onto the back straight. I could see the damage there, but a little bit easy to damage these cars. They do have a faster pair in these races, so they will be able to get into the pit lane and get straight back out again as well, if indeed they use their faster pair, which I'm sure many of them are thinking about at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'd be thinking about it. That's for sure. Biggest gainers on the grid at the moment. We've got Hardy and
VSC.
Ryan Borg. We do have a VSC. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. And that's why sort of half the field came in, but not the top 10 or so, because they'd already gone past the pit lane. So these guys didn't have a choice. Further back, they certainly did, and everyone from Jackson Rihanna has come in. Everyone from Jackson Rihanna on down. As I said before, there's only one pit stop, so they have made their pit stop. The top 10 haven't, though, and that could really hurt some of the top 10, which includes some of the big favourites like Sebastian Iskandari, who was beginning to build a bit of a lead in this race.
Yeah, it certainly was, and that'll be an important moment for Kieran Potter, though. It gives him a little bit of a chance to make a good launch, although he's going to have to contend with Sebastian Iskandari's excellent sense when it comes to restarting the race. For James Kasser, for Kasser, Hardy and Albert in P10, 9 and 8. I'm not sure how this plays out right now, though. They're going to be facing cars that are going to be ready to go, probably, for a significant portion of this race. I don't even know, how do you deal with that as a driver? Kasser is going to have Jackson Rahana, who's been up there consistently in the top 3 through the last couple of seasons here at FDL. Right behind them, that's going to be an overtake almost immediately. But how clean is it going to be through this first restart lap? Yeah,
that's going to be the key, because the opening lap of the race overall. So yeah, you can see why that car wasn't going to make it back. That rear right was completely out of shape. Now, how did it get like that? Oh, got power drive, really. Oh, and there's a car just up in front of us here as well. All sorts of trouble here. That's Scott Bartine, the one who couldn't get it back, but that's through turn 1, 2 and 3 at the very opening part of the lap. And Dylan Liddell found the wall by himself as well. That's quite a big impact, and it doesn't take much of a mistake around here to find the barrier hard, and we've already experienced that, it looks like, from a couple of these drivers. They look like they're weaving around as if we're about to have a restart here from Sebastian Iskandari, but I'm not entirely sure whether that is the case or not. But either way, we've had some hard hits onto the wall so far in this race, and that's to be expected, I suppose, with the proximity of the barriers around here.
Yeah, with Dylan Liddell, I mean, that was a classic tank slapper. He just, the rear got loose. He tried to counter steer. It was already too late. And here we go, some traffic unlapping themselves. That is not Bartine. That is someone else on the grid. But that was Munro, yeah. So, yes, pitted on lap 0 there. So, yeah, essentially, as soon as Dylan Liddell lost control there, Scott Bartine's tried to take some avoiding action. It's not worked out for him. He's encountered the same exact thing. It's a tricky part of the circuit to get absolutely right. Slightly off camber, he's come over a little bit of a bump. But at the end of the day, you've got a car spinning ahead of you, and you're going to try and make your way. I would have thought he would have had enough grip, but if you get caught unawares, that's what can happen.
Interesting strategy games are going to go on now, I feel, from this point onwards. With the top 10 having not pitted yet. This is some vigorous weaving, by the way. Only 28 degrees Celsius on the racetrack, which is not that cold, really. But they're really, really trying to get these tyres up to temperature, or at least maintain the temperature. But anyway, we'll leave them to it. Top 10, as I say, haven't stopped yet. And the rest of the field have. And as I mentioned, with only one stop to make, that means they're in a big advantage, I would say. But the interesting strategy games I'm referring to is how far does Iskandari go now and the others in terms of this first stint? I would suggest they're going to try and run this first stint out for as long as possible, try and pit and come out in front of Rihanna. But I think that's going to be very, very difficult to do, to stretch out an advantage that is going to allow them to stop and come out in front of the likes of Jackson Rihanna.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing going for them in this case is going to be, especially for the top 3 or 4, That's probably a better situation for them. A little bit more clean air. They might be able to break away before Rihanna can make too many positions. And Rihanna's got to actually make those overtakes now to put himself in contention so he can actually use the fresh tyre, use the pace advantage to actually gain something over these guys. Otherwise, they're going to escape. And that overlap, that undercut that essentially Rihanna is doing is going to mean absolutely nothing. So that's going to be the key moment here. Can Eskandari, Harris, Potter, and Millington, can they break away from this pack? Even if it's McConkey and Borg as well, but Rihanna's going to be overtaking, and that's going to be key for him. So expect him to be very, very aggressive on this restart.
Yeah, there's going to have to be a lot of aggression, although I'm not sure in open play, as it were, that anyone can really match Sebastian Eskandari. Can't remember Daniel Harris, for example, who's in second place at the moment. He's up 4 places on where he qualified, as you can see on the left-hand side. Kieran Potter very quickly sunk to third, back to third, after a great launch, by the way, off the grid. It's quite a difficult car to get off the line, the Super Formula, but Potter did it very, very well. And then this is the sort of, I keep wanting to say stadium section. There's no real stadium. In fact, there is a stadium on this track. That's just not where it is. So that is even more wrong. But you know what I mean. It's a very twisty section from turn 11 down to 16, really. The only real technical part of this circuit, for all its twists and turns elsewhere, it is quite a high-speed circuit, which does mean there's a lot of slipstreaming opportunity even in these cars, and so far as well I haven't seen too much of the push to pass being used. You get 200 seconds in these cars to use. That seems like quite a lot. It will run out quite quickly, especially if you use it down all the sort of flat out sections, either on the run towards turn 11 or down here before you get to the stadium, the Hard Rock Stadium, as it is, as it says on the roof there.
Yes, and if you're a Miami, if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, then you'll like the addition of this track.
Yeah, exactly. Very poor American football team, for those of you who don't follow the sport. Anyway, Virtual Safety Car ends this lap, and Sebastian Eskandari, oh, he's not going to go straight away, and I think Daniel Harris was expecting him to. Very nearly running to the back of him there, and there will be a concertina effect in the background as well. Oh, people expecting it, and look at that. Sebastian Eskandari just launches when they're least expecting it. Harris caught unawares completely, and we're back under green with a big gap already. Harris defends from Potter, who doesn't go for the move, I think hoping that Harris will try and stay with Sebastian Eskandari, but that's, it might have sailed already. What a start that is, a restart from Sebastian Eskandari.
Oh, it's exactly what we've come to expect. He pulls this out in the SFL Championship. He's done this in the FF 1600s. We've had, I think, 1 virtual safety car during that season, and he's done it yet again, and Harris was not prepared whatsoever. Now he's got Kieran Potter to think about right behind him. Jackson Rihanna has not yet made that move on Kassa, and Kassa is 1.1 seconds behind Albert, so he's dropping off a bit. Here goes Potter.
Goodness me, that was a squeeze, and fair play to them for giving each other room here. McConkey and Millington are going side by side just in behind as well on the run towards turn 11. Oh, it's a big time from McConkey, who accidentally gets 3 wide down the inside. Harris still on the inside here through this long right-hander, has still got the space, and in the end Potter has to give out. Goodness me, what a lead that Sebastian Eskandari has got after only 1 lap because of the fierce fighting for second place.
Oh, Kieran Potter would be absolutely kicking himself for that one. He was in a position to make the overtake, but couldn't handle it around the outside line, unfortunately, and Harris has become a little bit of a bottleneck in this case. So Eskandari, all he has to do is drive. That's the only thing he needs to worry about right now. Millington and McConkey in it as well. Down the inside goes McConkey. Great move there, and he's force potted to the outside line, but did he get the traction down?
Well, he's just about still there, is Potter, and he's going to get back in front again. So Potter back to third. Will there be another dive from McConkey? There's another look. Oh, and that's very wide from Kieran Potter, almost suggesting that he might have given that place over. Just in behind, Hayden Millington's having real trouble here on this restart. He got overtaken by Brody McConkey, and now he's under pressure from Ryan Borg. And just in behind him is Trent Allen, who's up 10 places, by the way. Ryan Borg's up 14, but we haven't seen too much of Trent Allen in the history of FDL. So he's doing a good job as well to move up 10 places. These are the problems for Jackson Rihanna. He's going to have to work his way through these groups while Sebastian Eskandari is out front extending a lead.
And there is Jackson Rihanna off in the distance. You can see he just has that 0.6 second gap to Kassa. So Kassa's driving incredibly well off the restart at the moment. tyres probably in a better window, and that's going to be the key thing here. Notice that there's a couple of incidents. Robillard has got a black and orange flag against his name, the meatball present yet again for him. Not ideal at all. But Rahana has to find some pace here, or he's not going to catch Casa. And then at that point, you know, what's the point in pitting early?
Oh, trouble, Brody McConkey, and oh, he's in the middle of the road. Oh, goodness me. They're all having to take a strange line here. It's right under the camera. There he is. How has he ended up there? We'll find out in a moment. But he's effectively acting as a roadblock. Now he gets back going again. Goodness me, Brody McConkey does not have much luck in FDL, let's put it that way. Over the top of the hill, through the chicane. Oh, wow. Well, yep. He's bounded over the curb there far too aggressively, because he almost straight-lined that chicane there, and he's paid the price on those curbs.
Gosh, luckily for everyone, though, he is essentially on the part of the track that it doesn't really matter too much. You're all looking to get to that left-hand side more or less anyway, so it saves them all a little bit of tyres in some way. They'll be probably giving a little thumbs up as they pass by him, but way too much curb there, and that's the problem with the sausage curbs. You do need to ride the car over it. You can get away with about 3.75 tyres. You go a little bit more, you're going to have that.
Yeah, you've got to be very, very careful of that curve there. It's through turn 14 and 15, by the way. As we're at the other end of the circuit, meantime, on the run towards turn 11. Here comes, in the meantime, Stephen Bull, just in behind James Cassett. And he's not going to find his way down the inside here, like Jackson Rihanna already has. So he definitely has speed over these guys, just Jackson Rihanna. It's just a case of working his way actually through the traffic now. You can see how tight this section is. Not going to get much done through here. As they take a bit more curb than others. There goes out of the left-hander Stephen Bull, and now onto the overtake for the first time. There you can see the visual representation on the steering wheel, by the way, of the seconds that they've got, and Stephen Bull using it rather smartly, because he's got through almost a third of this race without using any at all. Down the inside though he goes into the final, what I'm going to call the final corner, and he will get through rather nicely. In the background, Thomas Hinds is looking to make a move on Miguel Costa Texeira, and I'm not sure he quite managed it. Oh, he did manage it in the end. Nice exit and nice run on the inside line to move through into 14th position, and he'll have to defend the place in towards turn 1, but he should manage it. Wow, what a move! Miguel Costa Texeira switches to the inside, and that's a spectacular move to take back 14th place.
Oh, that is so brave, and a lot of trust put in the other driver to be out of the way, but the track is so wide coming into turn 1. It's an entirely viable move. I didn't think he was going to get that car slowed down, but he got it slowed down absolutely perfectly and slots right in front of Hinds once again. So a lot of pace through this first sector for Costa Texeira there. And we've got a bit of bumping of wheels there between Hilly and Hinds, who are now fighting over that position. That's definitely Hinds who's come off better in that scrap. In the background, Tom Donahoe trying to get past Burchart at the moment. He's got a classic livery on the car at the moment as well. So a real scrap going down here in the mid-10s.
Down the inside for Costa Texeira on Thomas Hinds rather there, and he can't get through Thomas Hinds, so he will stay 16th. But great work from Mark Hilly to get past both of them there. He's clearly quicker, but to work your way through that efficiently was very, very strong. 15th place on backwards is quite about, and look at the flashing lights, by the way. That's the green light you can just see above where the driver's head would be. The flashing, it's flashing very, very fast, as you can see, for Tom Donoghue at the moment. That's when they're using it, and then when it's sort of blinking. No! Contact! And into the fence hard for Miguel Costa Texeira. We were just complimenting them on their lack of incidents so far. Unfortunately, that has all come to an end at the final hairpin.
Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, it looks like he was trying to hold it around the outside, but that has gone completely wrong. That is the most damage I've seen on a car in a long time. You don't see that level of damage on the SFLs, even when there's an almighty accident. And that's going to be an immediate pit stop. Luckily for him, he doesn't have to reset to the pits because he's right there. So of all the places to have an accident, turn 17, not exactly the worst place on track for him. We'll try and get a replay of that because that was absolutely spectacular. And it seemed like there was nothing in it at all.
Just that slight bit of wheel-to-wheel contact in an open wheeler, which just sends you around. And big across to Texera there for me holds the responsibility, because if you look at that angle we just saw there, he just wasn't quite near to the apex, or he wasn't on the apex where he should be on the inside there. Thomas Sims for me was giving him enough room, but I don't think Miguel Costa Texera gave that return, and in the end he's the one who ends up with a lot of damage. Has repaired that and has got back going, but Thomas Sims unfortunately hasn't been so lucky. I'm not sure whether he's already used his fast repair or whether he's just decided to give up, or whether it was a separate incident maybe that I'm not aware of. But oh, is that completely separate maybe? Now who's that ending up in the wall?
That is
Jake Robillard again. Oh dear.
Yes.
Well, I hope he knows he's got 3 wheels on his wagon there, because he's never getting that back in a million years. And unfortunately, he is out of the race. So is Marcus Kitska, by the way, who you can see down there, also out of the race. And this group, despite the fact it's lost 2 of its members, is still battling away very, very hard. There's Tom Donahue again on the inside, and Jordan Mazzaroli, who's now on the outside line and can't quite get through. Mazzaroli on Tom Donahue, who, as you say, is... in a classic livery, and he's spun it into the wall.
Oh no, I think that may be our first commentator's curse, just as we were saying good things about Tom, and he's put it into the wall, and he's done it in Sector 1 as well, so that is a long, long way to go. He's buckled the front suspension completely there. Unbelievable, and really unlucky, and a great livery, but yeah, gee whiz. And it was unfortunately unforced error as well.
Do you guys really say livery like that? I mean,
I do. I've got you're just lucky I haven't pronounced Miami as Miami.
Yeah, well, yeah, that is definitely wrong. That's a place name. Yes. But yeah, I mean, fair play to Tom Donahue. He's getting it back quite well. I mean, obviously this is where the realism slightly disappears, because I don't think scraping the car along the ground like that for miles would be so good in real life. But he's getting away with it here. Meantime, Trent Allen is past Ryan Borg, so that's another place gained from Trent Allen, up into 4th now ahead of Ryan Borg. He's still got the most places gained of anybody, along with James Casser, 15, but is now 1 place less than before. This is Ken Munro down the inside and through on Mazzaroli on Ken Munro rather, getting up into 17th place, and it's behind Paul Saragi as well in this battle for 16th. I think for the second half of this race these battles are going to quieten down just a little bit, but it's been pretty manic so far, to be honest. And to be fair, there's still a massive group for 8th place headed by Jackson Riado at the moment as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've got 6 cars in a row, essentially. And yes, the gaps are a little bit larger at the moment. I mean, I'm not super surprised if that's the case. Everyone finding their own place on track and just wanting to settle into this stage. I mean, there's been enough chaos so far. I think at this point, everyone just wants a break. They just need to get to the point at which they are either pitting again or doing their initial first pit. I mean, Casa, for example, still sitting in 10th overall, despite there being a couple of people having accidents ahead of him. He's still yet to pit in this race, so for him,
sorry. Jackson Riada very nearly spinning at a place where that would have meant nobody could get past him, and thankfully didn't. But that was very, very close. And Bull indeed right behind here, coming down in towards the hairpin. Stephen Bull. These two are both stopped, as you can see there on the left-hand side. They're the leaders of those on the charge. At the moment, having stopped, and Bull is now in front of Jackson Riada. James Custer trying to hold back Daniel Yemen at the moment, who's battling with him over 10th place. That's a good run around the outside from Yemen, and he's going to go through, I think, into 9th position, or 10th position rather, and he does indeed get ahead of James Custer. So he's staying with those guys who have stopped quite rather well as well. Oh, James Custer switches to the inside though. What a move that is. Miguel Costa Texera did it earlier, with more success admittedly than James Casser, because he can't get through, and Anthony Bate actually followed through now as well.
Yeah, lovely drip that one. It is with notes of Texera for sure, and it's clearly a valid move that they're all thinking, you know what, I can just switch back. I'm not going to have the outside line. No one wants to overtake around there, but diving to the inside line, there's nothing the driver you're overtaking can really do about it unless they want to have an accident. So as long as they're not Max Verstappen, I'm going to definitely make some enemies today, but as long as you're not racing Max Verstappen, then you're probably going for a valid overtake there, and no one else wants to have a bar of it.
I'm not going to disagree with you. Side by side on the run towards turn 11, inside the top 10, just about. Yemen again passed by Anthony Bates, so he's made up 2 places in one. And James Casser keeps going backwards because that is Leif Hardy going through into 12th. Then Mark Hilly, who is next in line as well. He got through with that group, don't forget, with Thomas Inzamigo across Texera very efficiently. And this is the reward, gaining places and gaining the opportunity at least to gain more positions rather quickly. James Casser, though, is on the button while Hilly's in a cool-down period. You can't use the push to pass for a minute and a half after you've used it previously. So Casser is using that to his advantage, and he goes down the inside of Leif Hardy into the hairpin. That wasn't particularly well advised, I don't think, because Mark Hilly's right there, and he might well take advantage here. Hardy does perhaps the sensible thing there, and actually pulls into the pit lane at the moment, as we're not too far away from the maximum in terms of this first fuel load. There goes Mark Hilly. He makes up another 2 places in a couple of corners. He's up to 12th place.
Not bad at all, and yeah, Hilly would be happy about that. Casser's going to have to wonder now, should he have pitted a couple of laps ago instead of losing all these positions and being slow? I mean, you can extend plenty in this race, but you're going to need to take on at least, I believe, 32 litres, 72 litres, I think, estimated to get all the way around this course. Yemen has gone for a spin, and that is him off at the swimming pool.
Yeah, he's just made up a couple of places as Daniel Yemen.
Oh, dear. Yeah, well, that's unfortunately just a loss of control there for him. And luckily, he's on the part of a track where there's plenty of runoff. No one's going to end up getting directly into him unless they have the similar issue almost immediately after him. But at the moment, no issue there whatsoever. A little bit of a netcode issue there for James Casser by the looks of it. In the meantime, further down the grid, we've got McConkey as well going for it with Lipsky. So Tulip Racing, I have to make a comment on this. We've got Mazzaroli in here, we've got Burchardt, we've got Lipsky as well, Tulip Racing guys, and honestly, I was expecting to see them a little bit further up the grid today.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unusual event in the sense of we don't use super formulas before, or haven't used super formulas before, sorry, and indeed it's a tight circuit to use them for the first time, and I think that has very much been reflected in some of what we've seen so far. But you know, some teams having a better time of it than others, that is for sure. I think the top 3 though are from different teams actually. Sebastian Eskandari, Daniel Harris and Kieran Potter are all showing that they've got decent speed, quite a long way ahead of the rest of the field. We're still waiting to see whether they'll come out in front of those who have stopped so far. Stephen Bull is only 18 seconds behind Eskandari though, so I would suggest not at this stage. And if our pre-race notes are to be believed, and they normally are from Tom Donahue, then Eskandari has only got 5 laps or so before he's going to run out of fuel, and therefore he'll have to pit before then, and that will put him into traffic, maybe not in the race lead as well, which is going to be interesting to see. We don't see it often, him not in the lead.
Yeah, that's exactly right, yeah. So it's going to be Stephen Bull and Jackson Riada potentially inheriting the race lead pretty soon, sooner rather than later. They've got Albert just ahead of them. They're about a second behind at the moment, as Ryan Borg is suddenly making a lot of progress on Trent Allen. But they'll have to come into the pits relatively soon. Another personal best there from Eskandari, looking to continue to extend this gap. And it's no surprise, ever since that virtual safety car restart, he's just continued to build that gap. It has seemed to stabilize at about, well, just over 3 seconds at the moment, as we do see a pit entry there for Allen. So he's one of the top drivers who's going to pull that trigger nice and early, and you can see immediately he's going to get overtaken by those who have already pitted in this race.
Absolutely. So that is a good marker as Trent Allen comes out right around Paul Saragi. Behind, indeed. Daniel Yemen gets through. Oh, sorry, he had more of the pit lane to go than I realised. Out of the pit lane he goes now. You do cut off turn 1. But even so, he's 16th behind Daniel Yemen. And in front, by quite a way, of Dylan Little in 17th place. So, interesting to see. This is Burkhardt and Mazzaroli, meantime. 2 Tulip Racing drivers. And you'd imagine Mazzaroli is going to be let through here by his teammate. Unless there's no team orders, they're going to fight it out. They may well do, actually. Burkhardt staying to the inside line. is he is going to let him through. So there you go. Jordan Mazzaroli, the quicker of the two. And a bit of teamwork there, bit of team orders on the way down towards turn 11. But I think even if they weren't teammates, that would be the smart thing to do.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, given what we've seen, oh my goodness, that is not the way to go through turn 13 for Mazzaroli. I think he's going to have to take a quick moment there to reset. But given their history, I mean, we saw at Phillip Island, these two battling tooth and nail between each other. No team owners then in the FF1600s, but SF23, different kettle of fish at the moment. Mazzaroli pitted on lap 3, Burchart's on lap 2, so maybe just trying to see who's got the fastest pace at the moment to just not bother, given that they're that far down the grid. But that said, if we look at who's got to pit still, they could find themselves quite rapidly up into the top 6 in this race, so I may have to eat my hat on this one.
Well, yeah, let's see. With the second half of this race well underway, there's a lot to play out just yet. And even among those who've stopped so far, the battles continue. Mark Hilly now in front of Anthony Bate, and you can see him in ninth position. I wonder whether he might catch Bull and Rihanna here and try and win this race overall. I mean, that might be a little bit difficult with Sebastian Eskandari out front the way that he is at the moment. And if he gets out in front of Mark Hilly, then that might be difficult for Hilly to actually win from here. But it's been pretty good so far from him. As far as moving through the field is concerned, there are the fastest laps. And Kieran Potter currently has the best. He's only just in behind Harris. But you can see the spread of the field there. Some drivers haven't even been in the 36s yet. Potter's knocking on the door of a 34 at the moment, which is a marked difference, certainly. As they continue on for another lap, will Potter actually get through and try and make an overtake here on the second-placed Daniel Harris, or not? Well, not for the moment. They're still battling away for second place, 4 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, certainly are. And, I mean, I think, you know, Kieran Potter's shown obviously some really good skill off the line at the start. He had the mega start, got up ahead of Eskandari, but you know, that 3.7 second gap now is going to be very, very difficult to catch up because he's going to have to be doing those 35 flats basically all the time from now. But bear in mind, given they are going long on this first stint, they're going to have a much, much quicker second stint. Yes, they're using the same amount of fuel, but coming out of the pits, you're sort of warmed up in terms of the racing. You know exactly where you stand. You've got a target in mind heading towards the checkered flag. And this is going to put them into that mode of, hey, it's time for me to attack. Speaking of attack, here we go.
And the inside for Potter. They have been coming, and in towards turn 11, he gets through into second position. And this is important. Normally, you'd see two drivers who are trying to catch the leader, and they work together. But actually, with the pit stops looming, it does make sense to get out in front. You can just get that free car length, and that's what Potter has done. Maybe we're going to see a pit stop this time round, or maybe they're going to go further. We were told earlier that it's expected to be lap 17 or 18 when they have to come in. This is lap 17, but because we've had a virtual safety car, I would suggest that if they've been a bit frugal on fuel, then some might even be able to go to 19, but not Harris. He's coming straight in here from third position, having been overtaken by Kieran Potter.
There we go. Probably the sensible thing to do is we do see another overtake here. Millington trying to make his way around Ryan Borg. Ryan Borg fighting the position at the moment. Neither of them going to pit at this stage. It's going to be Millington on the inside line. Will Ryan Borg try to do one of those magical switcheroos that we've seen earlier on? No chance to do it into turn 1 at this point. Let's keep an eye on Harris and where he pops out. At the moment, Rahana is in 7th position and catching up with Stephen Bull. So there's going to be a potential overtake there for them in a few moments' time. But Harris has come out behind Rahana, and then he's got Hilly and Bate just behind him as well.
Yeah, so there's lots of these pairings, if you like, up and down the field. But these are the important ones, as they may well denote who is the winner of this race later on. Millington and Borg are unlikely to be that, but they're fighting over a podium place at the moment. And Ryan Borg does not get down the inside in time for turn 11 quite on that occasion. Big gap in front of them here, and a stop looming as well, as they're one of or they're two of only six drivers rather who haven't made a pit stop so far in this race. So again, you'd expect it to be right about now. You can see there Ryan Borg has actually got a bit of suspension damage because his steering wheel's slightly right hand down.
That's not going to help him, that is for sure. But he was a bit tentative on the turning through turn 13. We do have to find a name for it. It's either the bridge or the overpass. I feel like people are probably calling it the overpass, so maybe we call it that. The tricky section now known as the overpass. But through the overpass section, he was very tentative. He didn't want to run over the curbs at all. Might have something to do with the suspension that he's got. In comes Eskandari to the pits. And so where is he going to jump out? Well, I may have to eat some more hats today. I think it's going to be a hat eating exercise for myself. But he's out in 4th position and ahead of Rihanna and Harris.
Yeah, I'm surprised about that, I must admit. I thought he would lose more time in a pit stop, but indeed hasn't. Only 5.9 seconds in the pit lane, and that's because he's much closer to the end of the race, much more aware of how many laps the race is going to be, and I presume has taken on a bit less fuel than what those guys did a little bit earlier on. Just over 3 seconds is the gap, though, from Eskandari to Bull, and that means that Potter is probably going to be behind Stephen Bull here, as shown by Harris, I suppose, who came out behind Bull and Rihanna. Now, Eskandari has got one last key moment here. Maybe it won't matter because these two pit this lap, but he's got to be efficient in not losing time behind these guys.
You really do, and there you go again. Ryan Borg still quite tentative through the overpass section, and this is going to be a slam dunk here, I think, for Eskandari. Not going to be a lot of fight that Ryan Borg is going to have in this one, but again, you know, how do you indicate to the driver behind that you may be pitting in a lap or two? You don't really want to be fighting, and Eskandari certainly won't want to be. I think he just gave a little bit of a blip on his, yes he is, just a little bit of power to try and get that slipstream to work even more for him. Not able to really make it happen through that turn, but there you go. A couple of drivers into the pits. Eskandari back into the lead. Potter and Millington into the pits. Ryan Borg into the pits as well. And Eskandari is right there in the box seat once again. The car behind him, Stephen Bull. Again, this is going to be another key thing to keep an eye on because Bull, there is Kieran Potter. How close is this going to be? Stephen Bull, I should say. Getting mixed up because they're so close on the track. Stephen Bull manages to stay ahead of Kieran Potter, but fresh tyres.
Yep, and there may well be a difference in speed when they level out here, these two, for the final 15 minutes of this very first FDL Formula Open here from Miami F1 circuit. And here comes Potter immediately down in towards turn 11, outside line. As Stephen Bull has taken that second place, it's going to be very, very brief because flying out the pit lane, Potter gets straight back into second position. So suddenly first and second are restored to how they were before.
Yeah, I think this is the disadvantage of pitting early in a race like this. You get such a tyre disadvantage later in the race. Even if you do take a good amount of fuel or even fuel to get you to the end of the race, someone can correct me if that's not possible to do, but if they do that, their tyres are they're going to be suffering all the way through to the end of the race. Everyone on the grid now has pitted. And just as an example, Casa down from 10th to 17th position. So, you know, losing a lot of positions. The only person to really not lose, well, the only two people to not lose positions, and nearly does though, Kieran Potter and Eskandari. Jackson Rihanna right there in 4th position and on a bit of a charge, but he's in the same predicament as these other drivers who pitted early, and they've got a lot of work to do, and I don't think they're going to be that competitive. At the moment, he's just got to work on holding off Harris. I don't think there's a chance to catch up to the drivers ahead.
Yeah, there's no gaps really that are more than sort of 5 seconds or so in the top 15. Finally, Angus Milne, you can see a gap quite large in front of him, but other than that, I mean, these are pretty small gaps all the way through the field, so any of these drivers can catch the one in front or be caught by the one behind. Mark Killy's been caught by Seth Burcott's here. And, oh dear, he's got no rear wing.
Whoa.
Oh no, and he's off. He's off, and that's no surprise. He's got no rear wing. And we'll see where that happened. But Mark Killy was having a good run, and unfortunately that has come to a rather abrupt end here. Now, surely he hasn't been going with this for more than a lap. That would be insanity, but maybe he has. Through he has. Yeah, he has. He's dropped his rear wing off there through turn 12 and for whatever reason, he hasn't stopped. Maybe he's used his faster power already, but he's trying to persevere with this car with no rear wing, and that is just not going to be possible for the final 15 minutes.
Oh, that is painful, especially, we don't even need to say anything. Just watch what's happening on screen right now. This is probably the only corner where it's okay. It's low enough speed that you're not really relying on the aero, but as soon as you're out of this corner, you'll see the car's going to get loose on the rear end. Once again, you got a feel for Mark Hilly in the situation, was running in a decent position and was trying that early pit stop strategy as well, but it may well have worked out for him. He would have been a couple of positions at least ahead of where he is right now. It's such a light tap. This is the problem with those rear wings. It was the lightest tap. He nearly saved it as well, but to no avail.
Well, he's on the push to pass as well, the lunatic, coming down towards the final corner. But anyway, he'll come into pit lane now and come to his senses. There's Trent Allen, who's back to 12th after that pit stop, a little bit earlier than some of those around him. Still 5 places gained so far. Not the most, though. That goes to Anthony Bate now, who's up 9 places so far. A couple of others are up 9, but not as far up as he is in 6th position at the moment. And he's just behind this battle between Rihanna and Daniel Harris, who is looking for a way through into 4th, but can't quite find it on the way towards turn 11 there. And so Rihanna under a bit of unexpected pressure here. I was expecting him to be looking forward rather than behind, but he's definitely on the defensive here.
I think it's exactly what we were talking about, the early pit stop taken. I mean, yes, you get the advantage under virtual safety car. There's definitely advantage to do it, but it leaves you at the mercy of the drivers who pit midway through the race. And I'm still a little bit divided on whether or not it was a good idea to go for that early pit stop or not. Harris will make short work of him as we enter into turn 17. Rihanna, nothing that he can do. Oh, actually, he had the switch back there, but he couldn't get the traction, didn't have the grip. It's exactly what we're saying here, Ewan. The lack of grip towards the end of the race, and now he's struggling. He can't defend, he can't overtake. He's at the mercy of everyone else on the track, and the likes of Harris, who has pitted. Well, there you go, and I believe that was a moment there for Stephen Bull off track, or someone else potentially in this race. Yes, it was someone else in this race.
Mark Hilly.
Mark Hilly, indeed. Oh, yes. Despite the rear wing that he now has back on the car, still managing to find himself in rather a precarious situation.
Well, he's just letting these guys through now since he's a lap down. I think he's the only driver a lap down, actually, at the moment. Got a lot of drivers out the race, as you can see down the bottom of your screen there. Ryan Ball, the latest of them. So just 22 left in the field. But Mark Hilly's carrying on, even though he's one lap down. There's, meantime, the battle for 10th place between Daniel Yemen and Saragi. 10th and 11th. There's Saragi on board in towards turn 11. And it's far too far back from here at this point in the battle. He's going to have to get a lot closer than this. But it's a bit of a preview, really, to the Super Formula Light season, this I suppose. And we know that over the Christmas break, Sebastian Eskandari hasn't lost any of his speed, and this race again is ominous, I think, for the season that is coming up starting next week.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, he did mention as well on one of our previous interviews with him, as we see now, Kassa, and I believe that is Munro, or Munro just overtaking Kassa, I should say, that Eskandari may or may not be available for some or all or none of the Season 5 of SFL. He is committed to in real life racing, and Kassa has unfortunately put the power down way too much. He's buckled the front right suspension there. He's lost a front wing. Luckily there was no one directly behind him. A little bit of debris on the track. That won't affect the cars behind, of course. It was Teixeira just coming around the corner. Unfortunate for Kassa, whose race has really gone downhill, unfortunately. But we certainly hope that we see Eskandari in on the next season. But I think there's probably a few drivers who, while they... Oh dear, yeah, eventually got there. Nearly did a Austin Powers 500-point turn, but managed to avoid it, and he'll be into the pits, of course. There we go. Yeah, there'll be, I'm sure, some drivers who are thinking, Eskandari, you're so good. We'd just like to have a couple of races where you're maybe not quite at the top of the grid or not present, but that's certainly not the... yeah, that's right. I was trying to find a slightly nicer way of saying that, but I think to put it bluntly, yes, not here to give other people a chance to win some races. But you know, we know Eskandari is not infallible. At the end of the day, he's made some fairly significant mistakes. I mean, in Mexico, for one, he nearly lost that race, and a number of others where he's not come first place, of course, as well. But clearly super talented. Oh my goodness, that is everyone's getting loose on the rear tyres.
Well, they're getting towards the end of them now with 50 minutes fast approaching. Here comes Bull and Harris down the inside. Daniel Harris, slightly newer tyres indeed, a more recent pit stop, of course. And Harris is going to look for the exit here, coming through the first section, turns 1, 2 and 3, then the sweepers towards the swimming pool. But no way through for Harris. You'd expect, with still 7 minutes to go, that and indeed the situation with their pit stops and indeed when they took them, that Harris is going to have enough here to actually get past Stephen Bull before the end. But he does actually have to make the move. He's not going to be giving it for free.
Oh, that's for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, you go for that later pit stop. You can use more tyres to make more positions earlier on in that stint. And of course that's later on in the stint for the others. But if you use too much too quickly, you know, you've still got to manage the grip on the tyres, and if you don't do that properly, then you can find yourself in all sorts of trouble. And Harris right now just needs to find a little bit of extra pace, and well, that was a brave line through the overpass section there for him. Bull doing very well, actually even moving out of the slipstream range. You can see in the background Rahana is a little bit further back than he'd probably like to be at the moment. He's really been gapped by Harris at the minute, and even if he manages to catch up to Stephen Bull, well, and that's only going to be for 4th position, as it looks like Harris will be getting closer and closer to making that overtake, possibly through into turn 1. As you can see, Bull just not finding the ability to get the power down as much. We've had confirmation as well, actually, from Max Boost. Eskandari will only miss 1 or 2 rounds.
So yeah, should be fine. Here go. Oh dear, that's too tight on the inside from Harris. And Stephen Bull is going to say thanks very much for that attempt. I'm going to go straight back through again on the exit, and indeed does so, back into 3rd place. So Stephen Bull is doing a good job of defending here, despite that very early stop. And Daniel Harris is not able to overtake just for the moment. As fastest lap, by the way, new fastest lap last time round. Hayden Millington, I believe the first driver to get into the 34s. He's trying to chase down Mazzaroli and Anthony Pate as well. So a couple of close finishes being lined up here in the final 5 minutes.
Looking forward to that, and this is where the tapestry of pit stops and strategies all come crashing back together, with 5 minutes left on the clock at this special event here at FDL. And great to have you all in chat as well, watching here early on in this year, 6th of January. And looking forward to the Season 5 coming up as well. Position lost there by Costa Texera. Not quite sure what's going on there. We'll take a look in a few moments' time. Oh dear. There we go. Harris is through. Stephen Bull tried to defend, but he got very loose on the exit once again. I actually thought Harris's tyres were nearly gone at this point, but maybe just pushing the car a little bit too hard at this stage of the race.
Yeah, I think it's worse for Bull, certainly. Defending in the background in the meantime, by the way. Not sure whether that's Mazzaroli trying to keep back Millington at the moment, or whatever it is. Yemen and Swaggy are very close as well. There's also a lap car involved in this fight, which is a bit unusual. Maybe that was the weaving around there, but Millington surely is going to be given a bit of space here by Mazzaroli, because well, he thought so in towards turn number 1 and tried to go down the inside, but locked up a little bit there. Millington, I think, has a better chance of getting up to and passing Anthony Bate, to be honest, than what Mazzaroli does. But we'll wait and see what they decide to do here.
Well, indeed, Stephen Bull is actually doing some pretty good work here to hold on to Harris. I'm just keeping an eye on that as well, because he hasn't pulled a massive gap so far, down to 0.4 now, 0.3, of course, in the slipstream during this section as well. And yes, that was Texera losing the position to Hardy, down for, I believe, that is P16 at the moment. So a nice little battle starting to emerge there, and this is just giving us a little foreshadowing of what's to come. Another brave line for Harris. Stephen Bull starting to take that more tentative line through the overpass section. And even Rahana taking a lot of curb as he goes through the exit, now onto the main back straight. There's not enough gap here. I don't think Bull's going to have the ability to overtake.
And I think that's going to be almost impossible for him at this stage. Sebastian Iskandari comes over the line, by the way. That will be very close to 2 laps to go, or 3. We'll find out in the next few minutes or so as battles further back continue. Saragi just in behind Daniel Yemen, who is on a cooldown period actually from his push to pass. Saragi doesn't even need any push to pass to actually get down the inside and get through. Daniel Yemen slides on the exit, and Saragi goes up into the top 10. So nicely done there. Meantime, Bigger Caustic Sarah and Leaf Hardy fighting for 16th as well. I said earlier that the second half of the race might be a bit quieter than the first, but maybe that is slightly true. But you know, we haven't been starved of action at all. There's been a lot going on, even right to the very dying minutes of this one.
Yeah, completely agree. Lots of stuff coming back together as well. I mean, basically we had a split field. Half of the field deciding to stay out. 10 drivers staying out, and the rest of the field all deciding to go in early, and that's starting to play out in the last 8 minutes or so of this race. And now with so little time left, we are going to see some drivers getting a lot closer on track. Some of those involved are going to be Anthony Bate, Millington, and potentially Mazzaroli as well. So these three all battling now for P6 in this race. And I will just say as well, it's really lovely to see the SF23s at Miami. I nearly pronounced it wrong, very wrong once again. I have a problem, I understand that. But Anthony Bate, he's going to be in a bit of trouble now. Look, his little indicator has gone red, meaning I believe he's out of boost.
That means he's low. When it goes out completely, that means he's out completely as well. So he's the only driver so far we've seen get low on boost, but you can see why. Oh, he just edges Millington out to the edge of the road there. Tries to just push him off and makes it. Oh, and where's he going? Millington's in the pit lane. Millington's in the pit lane as the white flag looked like it was waving there. We look like we've got 1 lap to go. Bate defended well, but very nearly put Millington straight in the wall.
Yeah, hard defending, but you got to get your elbows out at this stage of the race, and especially through turn 17 where the outside line can easily be used. But this is really game on for Mazzaroli. He's got the opportunity. He's going to have the boost as well, because that flashing red symbol, as you rightly illuminated, is still illuminated, being the point. So he's still got a little bit in the tank for that, but where's he going to use it? How is he going to use it? Eskandari is going to be across the line in probably about 30 seconds time or so. Mazzaroli going to try around the outside. Bates already going defensive to try and protect.
Yeah, Mazzaroli's got better speed though on the outside line. I think it's going to be just straight through here, and indeed can swap sides to defend, and indeed stays in 6th position. So a good overtake on what is the last lap there from Don Mazzaroli. And Sebastian Eskandari comes into the final section now. I miscalculated earlier, by the way. It wasn't close. It was indeed 2 laps to go at the time. We're on the last lap now. And the very first FDL Formula Open is going to be won by, guess who? Sebastian Eskandari, winner of the Super Formula Lights Championship last season. And he started off 2026 with a win as well. Just less than 3 seconds in the end in front of Kieran Potter, who held him very, very close there for a while. 2.7 seconds is closer than what you normally see. And indeed, Eskandari is not going to get the fastest lap, nowhere near it. In fact, Daniel Harris completes the podium with the fastest lap on the last lap. Seth Burkhardt and Paul Saragi are going to battle to the line as well. Seth Burkhardt will finish in 8th, I think, just about. Oh, only just. And Daniel Yemen just in behind will finally round out the top 10 after losing out to Saragi very late on in that race.
Wow, great finish there and a few close calls as well. But Eskandari, I mean, that virtual safety car restart was perfect. He put Harris and Potter in a situation where they had to fight to get the position. And I think what we've learned through season 4 of SSL, what we've learned through the FF1600s, is don't fight for second place if Eskandari's in the lead, because he's going to gap you and he's going to end up winning the race.
Yeah, it's not bad advice, and maybe we are going to see a smarter approach to that in the Super Formula Light season. But of course, this is just a one-off race, and you can understand why people are more inclined to just fight it out for whatever position they like in this type of race, rather than what we're going to see in the season. Where is James Cassett? He's a long way back. There we go. He's about to come around the final corner and into the pit straight. There he is, to complete those on the lead lap. taken a while there for him to come across the line, but he eventually managed it. As we have a look at the race results from the FDL Formula Open. There's the practice times. We'll get the race results up in
there we go. We eventually click the right button. There we go.
It's, Sebastian Escudari, the winner by 2.7 seconds, I say, in the end ahead of Kieran Potter, with Daniel Harris rounding out the podium. Stephen Bull and Jackson Riada on that different strategy ended up just in the top 5. Decent return for them. Had to Jordan Mazzaroli, who held off Anthony Bate there towards the end. Seth Burkotts held off Paul Saragi, who got past Daniel Yeman towards the end, and rounds out the top 10. Mitchell Albert just missing out on that, with Hayden Millington, Angus Milne and Trent Allen inside a minute of the winner. Ken Monroe, Miguel Costa-Texeira, Leif Hardy, James Casser and... well, that rounds out, indeed, those on the lead lap. Martin Lipsky and Mark Killy were 1 lap down. And a couple more finishers. Jack Tovey, who we didn't really see any of in that race. And actually Tom Donahue with the last retirement of that race. He was 7 laps down. Also retiring were Dylan Little, Ryan Borg, Brendan McConkey, Thomas Hinz, Scott Bartime, Marcus Knitska, Jake Robillard, and the non-starters, Kane Ryder. Kane Ryder started actually, but the non-starters Lachlan Capel and Joshua Horton, who practiced but did not qualify or race. Let's have a chat, shall we, to the race winner, Sebastian Escudari, who has won the very first FDL Formula Open here tonight. Seb, welcome in. Congratulations on a victory in the first race of 2026 here for FDL, the one-off Formula Open. How did you find Miami and these Super Formulas? Because it's a new track to iRacing and a car that we've not used in FDL before.
Yeah, hi guys, thanks for having me on tonight. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy the track and the car. I've driven the car a little bit previously and I really enjoy driving it. And then this track is just really tricky, especially in the middle to the last sector through that almost castle section. It's just got to turn left, right, left, right. And then these cars don't really handle well over curbs, so going over there is not really ideal, but it's the fastest way around. But overall, I really enjoy this combo, and I want to see it more.
Yeah, and for the Super Formula Lights, we'll be returning here as well in a couple of weeks' time. But how was the strategy element of today's race? We had a virtual safety car very early on, which allowed guys like Stephen Bull and Jackson Rihanna to come into the pit lane under the VSC, while you had to pit completely under green. Were you ever at any stage sort of concerned you'd end up behind them when you'd made your pit stop and have to overtake them later on in the race?
Initially, I was a little bit concerned. And then just checking the gaps and the pit stop times from earlier, it got a little bit better. But then I just knew that I had to sort of push very quickly, like very hard for the last few laps in the stint to build up a little gap. And then the pit entry at Miami is just very difficult. Like the left, right into the pits is just really tight. But yeah, it was good. And the strategy was pretty good. But at one point in the end, I thought I didn't have enough fuel to get to the end, so that was a little bit hard stopping.
Yeah, I can imagine, because obviously that pit stop happening quite a way before the end of the race. But congratulations on getting to the end at the front, 2.7 seconds in the end. So yeah, congratulations on that, and thanks for coming to chat to us at the end of the race as well.
Yeah, thank you guys, and I'd just like to thank the team and Vaughan and Kane for all their help. See yous.
Thanks very much. Sebastian Escudari, winner tonight from Miami in the FDL Formula Open. Just in front of Kieran Potter, who can join us now as well. Kieran, welcome in. Congratulations on second place in the FDL Formula Open here tonight. How did you find that race overall? Just less than 3 seconds in the end away from a win. How do you assess that race?
Oh, I mean, had a good time. I think that's what really counts. But yeah, I don't know, a few less mistakes start of the race. Maybe could have given Seb a bit more of a challenge at the front there, but no, I'm pretty happy with how it went. Not too much to complain about.
Now, we haven't seen you too much in FDL before. Excuse me if I've forgotten, but I don't think we've seen you in FDL before at all. Tell us if you're going to be in the Super Formula Lights Championship this season, and how you're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I have registered for the SFLs this season, but yeah, I don't know, I was on the sidelines last season, just kind of tried to get a sneaky entry at the end of the season, didn't quite work out, but nah, should be good. Looking forward to it. Hopefully, if the competition's like tonight, then it'll be a good season.
Absolutely, it will be. Good to have you on board. Congratulations on second place in the FDL Formula Open here tonight, and thanks for coming to chat to us at the end as well.
All good, thank you.
Thanks very much. That's Kieran Potter in second place tonight, and just behind Daniel Harris, who I think is that not real name down the in the waiting room. We'll bring him in anyway, and chat as well. Dan, welcome in. Congratulations on a third place, a podium in the FDL Formula Open here tonight. How did you find the combination of Super Formula at the new for iRacing anyway, Miami circuit?
It's tough. This car, when you're racing it for that long, is a workout on your shoulders. The force feedback is very, very strong. But it was fun. This car's really, really enjoyable to drive. Made a mistake with pitting a bit early, which cost me having to get back through the field. But yeah, it is what it is. That's racing in the end of the day, and got the passes done in the end.
Yeah, and he got to third place. Tell us as well that much like Kieran just in front of you, haven't seen you before. Excuse me if I've forgotten, but I haven't seen you too much in FDL before. Are you going to be in the Super Formula Lights Championship upcoming this season?
Most likely not. I don't really like the Super Formula Lights. I did a series with another league in the Super Formula Lights, but I just don't really have Tuesdays open. It was just a rare Tuesday that I had. Tom sent me a message asking me if I wanted to get involved with Super Formula, and I had been driving it recently and just went, yeah, let's do it. But yeah, probably not. I'm not a big Super Formula Lights man. Too much grip.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight, and congratulations on a third place run. Hopefully, we'll see you at some other event in the future, whatever. But for now, thanks for chatting to us, and congrats on third place in the FDL Formula Open tonight.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks very much. That is Daniel Harris, who finishes in third place here tonight. Indeed, gets the fastest lap as well at the third place as well. Just had a message in before we go and talk about the new season upcoming and preview that. Just had a word through from Tom Donahue that 5 seconds penalty to Seb very likely due to a VSC restart infringement, dropping 28 kilometers per hour below the speed delta. That it would be fairly hefty. Indeed, because there was only a 2.7 second gap at the front. Normally, I think for Eskandari, a 5 second penalty wouldn't matter, but only 2.7 seconds back to Kieran Potter, and that could change the eventual race winner from this FDL Formula Open here tonight, George. It'll be a bit of late drama, perhaps. Not in the stewards list, and indeed none of the penalties actually up from any of the top names, unfortunately. All of them either retirements or those who finished a long way down. That's why we haven't really referenced the stewards room tonight, but it looks like the very top man has got a penalty here, George, from the very end of this race, which would be a big turnaround at the very end there.
Yeah, a big shake-up at the end, and I mean, we saw the virtual safety car restart, and it was slightly slow at the end, and maybe that was just a little bit of pottering around that he was doing, trying to play the game that we all know and love. But at the end of the day, yeah, that's going to drop him down to second easily. So potentially Kieran Potter on essentially debut here at FDL could be picking up that win. We'll keep an eye, of course. That'll all be in the Discord and the Formula Drivers League chat, and you can always join the Discord for those of you who haven't gotten in there by jumping on over to formuladriversleague.com.
Absolutely, and it's where the new Super Formula Lights Championship will be starting next week. We should just preview it a little bit before we go. 8 rounds, as always, running all the way to the 3rd of March, starting next week from Spa, which is always a fun place to start. We'll be returning here to Miami for round number 2 as well, but I do wonder tonight whether we've seen a driver in Kieran Potter who maybe it's the Super Formula and it will be different in the Super Formula Lights next week, but maybe a challenger to Sebastian Eskandari, because after last season's domination, Eskandari certainly, or at least we as neutrals need it for the season, for somebody to just challenge him. Maybe Kieran Potter will be able to do that.
Yeah, he may well be able to. And if Sebastian Isandari is missing 1 or 2 rounds as well, it opens up things on the championship points table in the gold class. To Kieran Potter, we know Jackson Rahana was so eager at the end of Season 4, and he was so close. And Kane Ryder as well. We've got a lot of great names that are going to be competing in this Season 5. And will it be Max Boost as the team up there with Eskandari or another driver? Or is it going to be some challengers throwing the cat amongst the pigeon? All to be decided in the 8 weeks of racing we have coming up from next week.
Absolutely. We'll be live same time, same place with all of those running right the way to Interlagos on the 3rd of March and that final race of the Super Formula Lights Championship. So very much hope you can join us for that. For now, this has been the FDL Formula Open, supported by Everything Simulated and Gripline. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in tonight. I've been Ian Leary alongside George Cook. Until we return for the Super Formula Lights Championship opener from Spa next week, it's goodbye for now.